Hello everyone, my name is Madan Mohan Rao from YourStory, and on behalf of all of us at YourStory, welcome to our deep dive today into iCreate's mission of driving India into a greener future. We have with us Mr. Anupam Jalote, CEO of iCreate, but before I introduce him and the rest of our panelists, let me set the context just a little bit. iCreate is the International Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology. It is an incubator working in the direction of supporting the new and emerging startups. With a proven track record of transforming tech innovations into successful business models, iCreate recently concluded EVangelise 2021, a super successful EV innovation challenge. The event witnessed the participation of emerging startups in the EV space from across the country. The organization aims to encourage and support young entrepreneurs innovating across domains, in this case, especially the EV domain. Joining us in this panel are some of the young and enthusiastic founders from the EV ecosystem who were also the winners of the EVangelise 2021 competition. Please join me in welcoming Akash Gupta, co-founder and CEO of Clean Electric, a battery management technology solutions provider. Welcome aboard, Akash. Also with us is Varun Rajamane, co-founder and CEO of Grimote Mobility, an EV powertrain solutions company. Welcome aboard, Varun.
Thank you, Madhav. Thank you. Glad to be here.
And with us also is Manoj Agrawal, co-founder and CEO of Weber Electrocorp, an integrated full-stack EV drivetrain company. Welcome aboard, Manoj.
Hello, Madhav. Thank you.
Very warm welcome to all of you. And also with us today is Mr. Anupam Jalote, CEO of iCreate. Welcome aboard, Anupam.
Thanks for having me here, Madan.
So, Anupam, let's begin by talking about the iCreate story. You have been providing incubation support to innovative startups in the country. Can you tell us a bit about the broader objective of this organization and what it is that you're aiming to achieve? Anupam?
Yeah, a great question. So iCreate, it's very easy to confuse it as just another incubator. But there are some things that make it stand out. It's a public-private partnership between the government and industry. Industry represented by chairmen like Mr. Dilip Shangvi, the current chairman, or Mr. Narayan Murthy, the founding chairman. Also, this is a dream project of the Prime Minister of the country. So that kind of sets the context that this is an institution that is supposed to make an impact to industry as well as the people of the country using tech innovation. And therefore, our one-line mission statement is helping tech innovators become successful entrepreneurs. So guiding tech innovation to success. So therefore, one part of what we do is your standard incubation. We're omnivorous. We take all sorts of innovative projects, support them to commercial success. But we are product focused. So we are one of those very few in the country which are focused on physical as well as digital products rather than pure service. So we've got a very, very strong foundation of embedded systems, IoT, data analytics, ML. That's the kind of projects that we pursue. The other bit is something that I call strategic innovation. Can you consciously seek out innovation that solves core problems of the country? And that led us to focusing on clean tech and specifically EVs at this point in time. And then we'll move more into clean tech later and fintech later. So that's a little bit about iCreate. We're on a 40-acre world-class campus just outside of Ahmedabad. It's a beautiful place. You must come and visit us. You'll love it here. And it buzzes because we've got labs, we've got hostels, we've got mentors, guides. So this place buzzes with energy.
Thanks so much, Anupam. You just mentioned EVs a while ago. So given that EVs are a huge focus at iCreate, what is your outlook for the EV industry in India? For example, what are some of the key opportunities and challenges that you as an institute are looking to address? Anupam?
So it doesn't need me to inform you that EVs are rocking in the country. There's more demand than supply. People have realized that EVs are a good thing to start cutting into their lives. At iCreate, our focus is very, very simple. We want to focus on what we call SET, small electric transport, which means two-wheelers, three-wheelers, or small four-wheelers. Small. So your motor capacity would be 5 kilowatt hour ambient or 10 kilowatt peak. India is the largest manufacturer and exporter of normal two vehicles. Between Hero and Bajaj, we're the largest manufacturers and exporters. what will it take for us to become number one in EVs, small EVs, right? That is strategic innovation. That's what drives us at iCreate. Number one, every electric vehicle needs to have a motor. Motors need magnets. To give power to the magnet, you need a rare earth element called neodymium. Most of it comes from China. So like it or not, you're locked into China as a supplier of your motors. So therefore, we're pursuing a very specific program to create powertrains, motors and controllers that don't use magnets. Now, the other big picture bit is, what do we need to do to increase the efficiency of small electric vehicles by up to 25%? So we focus on subcomponents, the motors and the controllers, which Manoj is already into, batteries and battery management systems. And Varun has a very interesting motor story of his own. Manoj does both. And Akash does the other bit, which is fast charging batteries. So our focus is create a big supply line of innovators and small and large medium businesses that are making the components, so that India becomes the knowledge leader and knowledge exporter rather than knowledge importer. So our mission statement is to create a platform, open standard platform, so that anybody can jump onto it. You make motors, I make battery management system, I make wiring harnesses. Everything's got to be waterproof, right? So we put all of that together in an open source platform and take India to global leadership in small electric vehicles.
Thanks, Anupam. That's a very compelling vision and mission indeed. Now let's hear about our startups in the audience now. I'd like to ask Akash, Varun and Manoj a little bit about their company and what kind of impact they're looking to make in the EV system. Let's start off with you now, Akash. Tell us a little bit about your company and how you hope to change the whole EV ecosystem. Go ahead.
Thanks, Madan. A pleasure being here on YourStory. And so our company is more focused towards energy storage technology innovation. And when we talk about electric vehicles, we are having electric vehicles which are 3-4 times more efficient because of a highly efficient motor we have in the powertrain. But if we are looking at the energy storage space, which is basically the fuel in the vehicle, it's still a inconvenient experience these days. You have to wait 4 hours to get your vehicle charged, and then you have an issue of degradation, and you don't know in 2 years time your battery is running out of juice, and you need a battery replacement which costs around 40-50% of the overall vehicle cost. And then we are every other week we are seeing fires in the battery packs in the two-wheeler space, and which is not heartening to see, and which leads to catastrophic failures. So these are some of the key challenges which Clean Electric is trying to address with our proprietary technology. It's based on a novel method, which is immersion cooling, and we are able to fast charge the battery packs in less than an hour, and we are able to get a 10-year battery life out of a battery pack. And because it is submerged in a non-flammable liquid, it does not catch fire. So these are the 3 key problems which we are trying to address with our technology. And we are commercializing our 1-hour technology, which is 4 times faster than what current EV industry is at. And we are building and fine-tuning the 10-minute charging technology, which is going to change the overall EV experience and will help India to transition to an all-electric future. That is what we are doing at Clean Electric.
That's a great story. Thanks, Akash. How about you, Manoj? In your case, what's your startup up to and what do you plan to achieve?
So at Weber, we are building a full stack integrated drivetrain, which has battery management system, motor controller, and a battery charger, all integrated, talking to each other and working together as a whole unit. So right now, Weber has taken such a holistic approach of this whole ecosystem building of everything electrical of an electric vehicle. So our proposition is that we help battery pack and EV OEMs to scale up very rapidly in terms of lead time of a product development. We bring our unique electrical and software engineering skills. We partner with them with their mechanical integration skills and help them deliver great EVs very quickly and very reliably. So right now, complete electrical ecosystem in India for EVs is completely dependent on China. So once you get a component, once you purchase a component, be it battery management system, motor controller, or a charger from China, there is no custodian or even a caretaker in India sitting right now of that Chinese company, which we can even interact to for any problem solving or any integration problem that any EV manufacturer would face. So we sit here right now in India with a hardware and software developed right from scratch in all the EV subsystems, and all talking to each other, build together as a whole. And then we're able to help EV and battery pack manufacturers a lot. Yeah.
Thanks, Manoj. And how about you, Varun? What is your story and what are you planning to achieve in your space, Varun?
So yeah, Gramoth's a 2-year-old company. We started off, initially with a few import substitution products. But before that, I have a story of my own. I'm a passionate cyclist. I live, and the weather's good. So I typically, like my entire school life, I cycled to school, and then like anywhere I had to meet friends, I cycled. So I personally believe that this last mile, from your metro to connecting to your office or home, like you can fulfill it by small vehicles, like bicycles or rickshaws, whatever it may be. That's why at Gramoth, like we are focusing on small vehicles. So we focus on low voltage powertrains, motors and motor controllers. The more primary sector we cater to is the bicycle and the e-rickshaw and two-wheeler market. So that's what we do. And we have some particular innovations which we have done in each of these spaces, where we have reduced the magnet content and increased the overall efficiency of these motors to give more value for money, which is what is important in the Indian context. And that's what we're plan to achieve in Gramoth.
Thanks, Varun, Akash, Manoj, for setting the stage with what your startups are doing. I got a few questions specific to each one of you now. I'm going to start off with Akash. Akash, you operate in this space of battery technology. Can you elaborate a bit on some of the technology that you're using? What are some of the challenges you face and how you expect to overcome these challenges? Akash?
Yes. So, battery technology is something which the entire world is trying to push the envelope forward, and is what is limiting the complete electrification globally. Right now, we are sitting at less than 2% EV sales globally as well as in India. So, people are trying to make it safe. People are trying to make it long lasting. People are trying uh, to make it fast charge so that you get a similar refueling experience with that of ICE refueling in 5-10 minutes, and then you are ready to go for your own needs. So, but if you will see that people are trying to do a lot of research to on the cell level to get the overall performance, and uh, it has taken 3 decades for the lithium ion to pass through this industrialization phase, and right now we are seeing the cost which makes sense for EVs to sell. So what we are trying to do at Clean Electric, we are trying to use this affordable lithium ion cells, which are like nickel based or iron based cells, which are very cost effective, and we are trying to uh, push the performance and the safety to a level so that it is acceptable for the Indian market. So lithium ion cell is an electrochemical process of energy conversion. So there is a lot of things which we can play around outside the cells, and in terms of the physics of the cell, at what temperature it needs to be operate, and all those innovations. So that is what we are doing. We have a patented technology which is the immersion cooling, in which we have 7 to 10 times more contact area than a conventional liquid cooling, what Tesla and Rivians of the world do. So that allows us to fast charge the battery pack without degrading the battery life. So that is the combination which we are trying to break, and we are challenging some of the conventional wisdom in this space which has been existed. And with our proprietary solution, we are trying to make it as convenient as internal combustion engine vehicles, and without disrupting what is inside the cell, just using the affordable cells and pushing the performance by a magnitude of 4 or 8 times. And we have got some success in this, and we had validated our 1 hour technology, and right now we are using the same basic technology to get to a 10-minute charging thing. And we believe by the end of this year we'll be having a 10-minute battery which gives you 2500 cycle life, and India will be the first country to achieve such astonishing target in the energy storage space. Right now, Israel, US, and Europe has been leading the innovation in this space, and we want to put India into the forefront of energy storage technology innovation, just to be in a lead runner, as Mr. Anupam has set the vision and mission for iCreate and for the country.
Thanks, Akash. It's great to hear that you also filed for a patent. Coming back to Anupam now. Anupam, we heard a lot about this EVangelise incubation program of yours. Can you tell us a bit more about the idea behind this incubation program? Who are some of the key stakeholders involved? And what is the overall objective of this innovation incubation program? Anupam?
I'll take it in the reverse order. The overall objective. So this is a 3 to 5 year journey for iCreate. We want to do multiple things. Number one, focusing on subcomponents, not the whole vehicle. Right? Whole vehicle is a very complicated thing and needs marketing, distribution, money, but the subcomponents are the heart of it. So that's a very clear focus. New technology, pushing the frontiers, pushing the envelope on tech development. And therefore, patents are important. Technology which is slightly over the horizon, which has not yet come in, but is needed, is important. A global market, whatever you're doing should not only be for India, right? So those are some of the founding tenets of this multi-year program. So once we focus on the subcomponents, and essentially it's just two main subcomponents. Your powertrain, which is basically your replica of the engine, right? The motor and the accelerator, the controller that will control the motor. The second bit is your petrol tank, which is the battery, and the computers that control the battery management system. Now, you are wasting a lot of energy every time you brake the vehicle. Expensive cars, 30-40 lakh rupee cars, have regenerative braking. So when you brake, that energy goes back into your battery. We want to put it into small, low-end two-wheelers also, the same technology, right? And finally, interlink all of them so that efficiencies are unlocked. So your motor and your battery and your charger and your charging systems all talk to each other intelligently and work together dynamically. Now, therefore, what we need is a lot of innovators. So in the first year, what we were able to do a pretty good job of was identifying some of the brightest talent in the country, across the country. We had more than 400 applications. It took us 8 months to go through those, and the 3 sitting in front of you are the brightest of the brightest. Now comes attracting industry, right? So one path is that these innovators themselves become industry. The other is that there's this whole diverse spectrum of people making EVs or wanting to make EVs. So they buy stuff that our folks are innovating. So a partnership between innovators and industry, that's phase 2. Money, of course, is the great superset, and money is coming very, very fast into the EV space. So money is not the challenge. But design for manufacture, design so that you are scalable globally, meeting standards of safety, standards of quality, and respectability. So those are challenges that we are going to be working in over the next couple of years, so that by the time we are done, the simple statement is India should be the global leader in knowledge and technology in the small EV space. That's the EVangelise journey in short. And we do what it takes. I mean, down to making our own chips, create your own chips, create your own standards. I'll take 30 seconds and kind of take you to the mid-80s, when there were a lot of personal computers being made. You had Sinclair ZX Spectrum, you had Zilog devices, you had so many. Then IBM said, we will lay down the standards for how a hard disk talks to a processor, talks to a keyboard, talks to a display unit, and how do they connect? How do they work? And they made those standards open. So now sitting in India, if I were to make a keyboard, I was confident that anyone in the world would be able to use it. Now, that's the power of standardization that we're hoping to bring to this industry, so that any innovator makes anything, it'll plug in and work smoothly with the rest of the components. Once you do that, then you've got this magic flash moment and then all the creativity and innovative powers of India will be unlocked. And that's EVangelise.
Thanks, Anupam, for describing that very ambitious vision and how you actually operationalize that vision. So let's turn now to some of the founders for specific examples of how they benefited from EVangelise. Let's begin with Varun. Varun, can you tell us about your experience of participating in EVangelise and how did that help you bring your idea forward? Varun?
Yeah, so I think before I go into how EVangelise helped me, I'll just tell you what, continuing from where Mr. Anupam left off. So our particular product, we brought regenerative braking to bicycle sector, which has, as far as I'm aware, never been done in the world before. So if any one of you have ever ridden an electric car or an electric scooter which has regenerative braking, you know when you go downhill, you can typically recover a bit of energy. And we are bringing that to bicycles. So like, let's say if someone, and this particular innovation, right, it's very useful for cargo bicycles, which is very, which is highly used in Europe. So the weight of these bicycles are typically on the higher end, somewhere around 150, 200 kgs. So your DHL, FedEx, almost all your big freight logistics companies are already using cargo bikes to make deliveries, and that's where we think this innovation is going to take a foot. So basically, our innovation, we have managed to develop a motor which is lower cost because we've eliminated some components. We've used lesser materials. Like overall, like it's 300 grams lesser raw material in terms of aluminum steel, so it's more sustainable. Like lesser mining required, a lot of recycling can be done. And at the end of the day, it still provides more range, like we still provide 4 to 5% more range to the end customer. So it makes financial sense as well for them. In terms of iCreate, I think the best part about iCreate has been the other companies that we have gotten to partner with. So actually now we are doing, we've partnered with an iCreate incubated company which manufactures bicycles, and we're trying out these motors with them, and I believe that, all of us being startups, like we need to collaborate in order to beat the giants who have a lot of funding and backing behind them. It's only that we work together and capture this market. And I think that's the best part about being part of iCreate and taking part in EVangelise. Gremot has been a bootstrapped company for the past 2 years, and I was actually going to remain bootstrapped for the rest of however I was going to. But the reason I took part in iCreate was I think they can provide something to me which can help me go international. Like till now I've been more of a linear growth person, and that's iCreate has helped me think exponentially. So I think that's the biggest benefit of iCreate and EVangelise as such. Yeah. So
thanks, Varun. That's a great message. Think exponential, go exponential. Let's turn to Manuj now. Manuj, in your case, what kind of assistance have you received from iCreate and how important is scale in your journey? Manuj?
So first of all, participating in EVangelise has brought us a lot of humility in our approach, because we have been able to engage with iCreate, with the mentors, engage with the peer startups which participated in EVangelise. So we actually got to see a lot of things, what is happening, what has been happening in the EV space. We even got to interact with industry leaders and actually saw problems firsthand and incorporate them in our products. And second is we have been able to bring a lot of credibility in Weber, like being vetted by iCreate teams and fellow participants. So that has given us a lot of limelight and a lot of credibility that people are able to trust us now. Our customers are able to trust, and we have seen a lot of traction after EVangelise. And talking about how important it is to scale up, I still think there's a lot of first mover advantage still. Even if you want to replace Chinese components in India, and we want to be associated with as many EV and battery pack manufacturers, and build a lot of trust in us, because our products are designed in that way, because that we even promise 10 times reliability and a lot of agile features in our systems, that this is very important that we scale up very rapidly, so that we become a top tier 1 supplier to Indian EV ecosystem. At the same time, we have to even manage the chip prices which has been going on. So that's why we have been partnering with semiconductor supplier ecosystem, so that we're able to navigate this challenge for next couple of years for the time this crisis would be there.
Thanks, Manoj. I'd like
Yeah.
to ask each of you my last concluding question now. First of all, of course, congrats for having won this grand challenge. I'd like to ask you now, each of you, what are some of your next steps in your journey ahead, and how will you take your innovation to the market? How long before someone like me can access some of your innovations? Let's start with you, Akash.
Yeah, sure. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, like we have two set of technology. One is the 1 hour charging, under 1 hour charging, and the second is the 10 minutes charging. So we are starting with the commercialization of this 1 hour charging battery technology in the two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and the commercial vehicle space in India. And we are starting with some of the pilots with the renowned OEMs in the two-wheeler and three-wheeler space. And in the next 4 to 6 months, our products will be out on the field in the two-wheeler and three-wheeler customers, some of the key anchor customers, which we are right now in doing the pilot with. And we'll be starting a small batch production of 600 battery packs a month in the next 6 months. And beyond that, we will be scaling the business into like 200-300 megawatt hour of battery packs by the end of next year. So we are in discussion with some of the tier one venture capital firms in India to raise a seed institutional round to get through the next phase of growth as we speak.
That's great, Akash. Good to hear you moving close towards your targets. In your case, Varun, what are some of your next steps, and how do you plan to take your innovation out there into the market, Varun?
So being in the bicycle space, we're ready to go today. So if you come up to me with a bicycle now and you want to try out our new regenerative motor system, we can immediately give it to you. So we are partnered with one bicycle shop in Bangalore where we are actively converting regular bicycles, as well as if you have an e-bike and you want to move to a regenerative system, we can convert it from today itself. Yeah, but in terms of B2B mass sales, so we have trials going on with 5 to 6 customers, and we have a small batch. We have orders coming in from April onwards, which we are fulfilling. So our line is already set up. Our factory is ready to go and we're ready to produce about 2,000 numbers per month in terms of capacity. Yeah.
That's great, Varun. Looks like 2022 is off to a great start for you already. How about you? In your case, Manoj, what are your plans, targets for the year, I guess, and how you plan to bring the innovation to the market?
Happily, we have been vetted by most of our customers, which are renowned battery pack manufacturers and two-wheeler manufacturers now. And we have also started to get orders from one top tier one battery pack manufacturer who's supplying to a very renowned EV two-wheeler manufacturer. So we are already getting a traction, and now we're at a stage that we're raising a round along with iCreate so that we can rapidly scale up to a level that we would be there in most of the EVs, two-wheeler and three-wheeler in India right now.
Thanks, Manoj. It's great to hear how much traction our young startups here have already. To wrap up now, I'd like to ask Anupam. Anupam, how well do you think EV startups are doing today in India? What are some of the steps that we as India need to do to boost our startup ecosystem and reduce dependencies on global EV markets? Anupam.
Great question. Definitely not an easy one to answer, because off the cuff, because of the boil in the market, you see so much vitality, right? You've got people launching new vehicles by the day. You also keep hearing those terrible stories of chip shortages, semiconductor shortages, and long supply times. So today we've got a problem of massive demand and not enough capacity to make it. And if you were to ask for a two-wheeler, four-wheeler today, I mean, it's definitely going to stress the system to be able to meet it. Now, to catch that, there's a lot of startups which are also starting up to meet that demand. Now, in cells, nobody can do anything. India does not make cells, probably will take some time to gear up there. So you import the cells, but after that, things are beginning to fall into place. Now we see in the battery management and the charging infra space, a lot of dynamic work happening. There are people who are setting up charging stations on highways inside cities. They're taking a gamble, they're investing their own money or investors' money and starting to create capacities. Those are very positive signs. Because if you don't have a petrol station, why buy a petrol car, right? So that bit is beginning to fall into place. There are companies like Ether, others, who are wanting to install multiples of thousands of charging stations free of cost across various cities, so that that infra starts getting created, and they're prepared to do it at their own cost, right? So that's happening. On the battery management, so you must understand, unpick these terms a little bit. You've got massive amount of computing happening inside an electric vehicle. So to control your motor, you need very powerful computers and clever software. To control your batteries, you need clever computers and software. And those computers need to talk to each other and the charger. So there's a lot of strengths that India already has in these domains, right? So we are playing to our areas of strength. So for us to be able to create that computing power and the firmware and the software for that is the art of the possible. And so therefore we see a lot of startups starting up in those areas, right? As Manoj said, they're making full stack. Full stack basically means they're doing each and every component that goes into an electric vehicle. And it's indigenous, nothing imported except the chips. The IP, the intellectual, the brain power is all here. And they're not infringing on somebody else's patents. They're creating their own variants of the technology. So that is a very good, very healthy sign. You know, one of my pet peeves was that all of us grew up with Bajaj scooters, and the stepney would fall off because the stepney was hanging on a cantilever behind the scooter and the vibration would cause the stepney to fall off. And 40 years, 30 years that we drove that damn scooter, the problem was never fixed at an engineering level. My dad would get an angle iron fitted, and then later I grew up to get that angle iron fitted and it would work. But engineering solutions for that were not created. In the EV space, it's different. Engineering solutions are being created for the EVs of the future in India. And we aren't talking about the very clever stuff of image assisted driving, right? So you've got your assisted braking. So if you anticipate a collision, today we aren't allowed to actually brake the vehicle, but we can give alerts. Do interrupt me anytime you feel that I'm, taking up too much time, because okay. So we are talking about more advanced features like safety or autonomous driving. There are a bunch of people who are already doing work in that. So whether it is the very, very clever stuff on autonomous and connected driving, or it is the basic nuts and bolts of what will make EVs work, I think it's a very vibrant ecosystem at this point in time in the country. It's a good time to be in the EV space here.
Thanks so much, Anupam. That's indeed very well said. It's a very good time to be in this space as the science and art of the possible is being created. With that, we come to the end of our discussion right now. Thanks, Anupam, Akash, Varun, and Manoj for this outstanding discussion over here today. I think 3 key takeaways for our audience would be the 3 E's: excellence, evangelization, and ecosystem. You have to have excellence. You have to have engineering excellence, design excellence in whatever you do in this space. Secondly, there needs to be a lot of evangelization so that the whole country, all the value chains wake up to the potential of this technology. And last but not least, this is not possible without an ecosystem. And that's what iCreate is doing a brilliant job of creating and orchestrating a whole ecosystem so that this EV manufacturing capabilities take off in India. On that note, thank you all very much. We wish you all the best in your individual journeys ahead. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Madan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.